Monday, January 4th, going on 10-minute walk number 2 of the day. Remember, we're trying to get in 3. We're not trying to get in 3. We're getting in 3 10-minute walks every single day during the month of January. I'd love for you to join me. It's also World Carnivore Month, and the World Carnivore Month Challenge requires you to hop in with me and do the Carnivore Diet. What is the Carnivore Diet? Basically, it is what it sounds. We're eating lots of meat and eggs, bone broth. You can allow for some dairy. You want to throw in some butter here and there, some cheese here and there, go for it. But don't forget about some of the really savory, awesome foods that you can have when you're on a carnivore diet. Let's not forget about things like buffalo wings. You need to make them yourself. Don't get them from a restaurant. They're fried in a bunch of vegetable oil. Make them at home. Use some Frank's Red Hot. Use some butter, and you're good to go. But don't forget about sausage. Don't forget about omelets. I mean, you have a great opportunity to eat some really yummy, savory foods, and we're trying just to do this for the month of January, so give it your best shot, and let's get after it. A couple things I wanted to address for today are some questions that we had coming in. A lot of questions are about, hey, I'm on day 3 or 4 of the carnivore diet, and I'm experiencing some fatigue. Well, if you're feeling tired and you're feeling fatigued, you need to add salt to your meals. On top of that, you might want to get a product called Element. You can get that off of Amazon. Grab yourself some Element, start to mix that into some of your waters. It has a great flavor, tastes good. They make a pink lemonade, they make a lemonade, they make orange flavor, they make a bunch of different flavors. The electrolytes, the magnesium, the sodium, these are going to be things that help make you feel better, because when you're on a very low carbohydrate diet, such as a carnivore diet, it's hard to get that hydration, that water to kind of stick to your body. You tend to just pee a lot of it out normally. So make sure you're getting in those electrolytes. Next thing is, we get a lot of people talking about having diarrhea, explosive diarrhea from the carnivore diet. I've had my troubles with it in the past, and this time around, for some reason, on like day 1, I ended up having problems with my stomach. I actually kind of think it was coincidental, but who the hell knows? I normally eat a lot of meat anyway, but here's what I would say to that is, number 1, let's not suffer for the sake of suffering. So if you need to add in a little bit of fiber to just help balance you out so that you don't have explosive diarrhea, then please, by all means, mix in a little bit of fibrous food. That might be in the form of vegetables, it might be in the form of fruit. I don't think it's going to make that big a difference. Now, I know a couple people are like, hey man, I thought this was the carnivore challenge. It is the carnivore challenge, but look, if 98.9% of your food comes from meat, and we got a small percentage coming from somewhere else, and it just prevents us from being super uncomfortable and spending a lot of time on the toilet, then let's not worry about it too much. Another option, if you didn't want to go that route, is to cut back on the amount of fat that you're eating. Sometimes a bolus of fat can kind of liquefy, and so you might have to cut back on the amount of fat that you're consuming. A couple other things you can do: you can buy a fiber type supplement that you put in like a protein shake or something like that. That might be beneficial. You can also take some digestive enzymes. You might find that to be effective. Sorry if the wind's cranking through here. I'll try to block it out. Some people mention that they just have a tough time staying on the diet, and that they get tired of just eating meat. Well, that's kind of the whole point. You end up with something called palate fatigue. And when you're told, hey man, you can have at it, you can eat as much meat as you'd like, if people get tired of eating meat, they end up with something called palate fatigue. But that's part of the beauty of the diet. I would like for as many of you as possible to stick to savory foods and not fall victim to sweet tooth, and not fall victim to really acting upon your cravings. I want you to buckle down. I want you to be stronger than you have been in the past. And I want you to recognize that if you've ever made one decision for yourself that was in the correct direction of nutrition, if you just have done it once before in your life, if you passed off on a cake at a wedding, if you passed on ice cream, if you passed on this or that just one time, that means that you already possess the power to do that again. And I'd love to see you for the whole month practice that discipline. Be a little stronger than you have been in the past. Just a little bit stronger than you have been in the past. Because I know that you can do it. It hasn't been easy for me coming down from 330 down to what I am today, about 230. It's been very, very difficult. But I've been able to do it with incremental progress over a long period of time. I know that you guys possess that same ability. It's just a matter of making a choice. When those pulses hit you at night to eat these foods, I get questions all the time. What do I do about my sweet tooth? It really buckles down to you just breaking up that pattern. How can you break up a pattern? How do you break up a habit? Well, what signals you to want to eat those kinds of foods? What triggers you? A lot of times it's your salty dinner that you have, because now your body's seeking homeostasis. It wants the opposite to try to offset the salty food you have. Now it wants something sweet. Can we satisfy that sweetness with something really savory, or can we solve that with something sweet? Yeah, we can. We have options. You can have things like Jell-O, sugar-free Jell-O. It has like 10 calories. Eat like 2 or 3 of those things if you want. It's 20, 30 calories, drop in the bucket. And Jell-O is made of gelatin, which is from the bones of animals. So there we go. There might be some artificial weird shit in there as well, but for the most part, it is an animal-based product. Protein shake, whey protein shake, collagen. Again, these things are a little borderline in terms of being on a carnivore diet or being part of this carnivore challenge. But I want to see you guys be successful. I don't want to give you guys a bunch of rules and have you not be able to follow them. Compliance is the science. What else can we do to deter ourselves from having these really hard hunger pangs and these cravings? Understand these cravings, they only last a couple minutes. Think about the one you had last night or the one you had the night before. If you're like me, you get them every single night where you have a craving for something. They don't usually last that long. They usually only last like 2 or 3 minutes, and you can solve them in a bunch of different ways. Pants are falling down. I'm losing so much weight over here. Had to hike them back up. One way that you can solve some of these cravings is you can decide to go on a walk. You could do some form of exercise. Pop up off your couch and bust out 50 push-ups. You'll probably be pretty determined, and you'll probably say, you know what, I don't need that extra bullshit food. I'm gonna stay on track, I'm gonna stay on path. Because you just went and did the exact opposite of what you normally would do. Reading, walking, distracting the mind, occupying your mind. Find ways to occupy your mind. Do a puzzle or do something different that you maybe haven't done in a while. Do something with a friend that doesn't involve you eating more food. And you might be able to find that helps deter you from eating those cravings. Sometimes people will ask, how much meat do I eat? I don't know how much to eat. Well, we're not really worried about how much, because we make these decisions towards having really, really good food choices. We don't have to worry as much about the amount of food that we're eating. So the overall amount of food, it will always be a factor. It'll always matter. But in my experience, it's very, very difficult to overeat on a carnivore diet. Even if you're eating ribeye multiple times a day, it would be kind of tough to overeat your calories in that, because there's quite a bit of protein in that as well. And after a while, you'd end up with palate fatigue, and you probably wouldn't really be able to consume enough calories to gain enough body fat for it to be of any real significance. So we're not too worried about how much food. In my opinion, from what I've seen, my own experience is that when doing a carnivore diet, you end up with something that I call inadvertent fasting. I know you've all heard of intermittent fasting. Well, the carnivore diet causes inadvertent fasting because a lot of times you just end up not eating for periods of time throughout the day because you're very satiated from eating eggs, from eating steak, from eating hamburger, elk, bison, sausage, bacon, whatever it is that you ate. You'll feel pretty satisfied from those things, and you'll find yourself going 2, 3, 4 hours, 5 hours without a meal. And that's not problematic because we have a good surplus of protein in the system, and we have a good surplus of fat. Please, in the questions and the comments below, let me know how you're doing. We're only a couple days in. If you haven't joined in on a carnivore diet yet, I'd love for you to join in now. Any other questions that you have on the carnivore diet, I am here. I am Mark Smelly Bell. I am your resource for all things carnivore. Please come to me, ask me the questions. I got the answers. Strength is never a weakness. Weakness is never a strength. Keep kicking ass. Catch you guys later.